phenomenon, and then you just kind of fell off the planet. What? Why did you stop acting?
Yeah, I kept working for a while, but you know,
IMDb says otherwise, but
they don't really know what they're
Right.
talking about. There was a lot of stuff, commercials and stuff
Yeah.
mainly, you know. But I just got interested in doing other things, just having a life, and you know, I was never one. I didn't particularly love auditioning, you know. And an actor's thing is about auditioning, constantly looking for work, and there's nothing less fun than constantly looking for work. So I ran off and worked for Disney for a long time, and played there, you know. So I do stuff there, and I ended up writing some stuff, and so I still sort of in the business, but I don't act so much unless somebody wants to call me and give me a part.
Yeah, that's always the best.
That's the best way, you know. So if anybody knows anybody.
I was married for many years to Nancy Keyes, who you would know as Nancy Loomis, who played Annie in the first one. And this experience, I look at you guys going out on auditions, and it's unbelievable to me the punishment she took. Nancy finally just said, I'm not going to do this anymore. It's too hard, because when I go out with a script or with a movie in my hand to get somebody to distribute, and they say, nah, we don't want any part of that. Well, at least it's that thing. When you guys go out for a part, they're going, no, we don't want you.
No, the nice way to put that. No, nice way to put that is when you walk in to read, you always get the signals. First one is, you know, they're attentive, you know, and then you get this one. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, if any of you contemplate an acting career, you have to have skin this thick, and you really, really have to have sort of an inner self-confidence that allows for tons of rejection. It's a brutal.
It's pretty bad,
right?
Yeah, but it's really nice when they really like the audition. That's really, it's like, okay, we're trying to bring it back.
We'll call you.
But you're never good in that.
No,
Like I always say, like imagine you guys, how, you know, remember your job interview for whatever job you have now. Imagine going on 100 of those, and you're told you didn't get it, not because you weren't qualified, not because you weren't, you know, you didn't have your resume wasn't exactly what they were looking for, but because you wore an orange shirt.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you have earrings.
Or you had hair
and
in your
you know,
nose.
it's just really, it's so stupid and ridiculous who's making the decisions nowadays. It's, you know, we were talking about this in the car yesterday, and I'm at the point now where I'm having to make that decision of what I really, if I want to put myself through this anymore. I'm 31.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
They're
I don't think that it's healthy for my spirit anymore. It sucks. I want to have kids, and I want to buy a house in Kentucky, and you know, I really.
Well, that's what I thought. I was like, I don't want to struggle anymore.
I don't want to be this way. And it's directing and doing. Still, to be creative, fantastic. Like I have to have that. That's just part of who I am. But growing up as a child actor, like you are, I'm sure Brian did the same thing. Like your identity as a human being is an actor. Like you're not a human. You're not a person. You're a product before you are a person. Okay. And then all of a sudden, for me, then I'm flipping, going, well, wait a second. I have to sort of have a rebirth and discover who I really am. And I think it's from, you know, putting up with the way the business is, and sort of going, wow, there's more to life. Because if you think about all the fabulous memories you have thus far,
not all fabulous.
It's not
not all fabulous.
I don't think about that great scene I did in Halloween 5. I think about, you know, the spaghetti that I ate with, you know, Greg Nicotero after he let me cut his hair when I was 10 years old in the trailer. Like, those are the things that you really think about. It's not about what movies you do.
You know, if you've got a good run, though, if you've got a good run where you're picking up, where you're like the hot person, you know, they want you, that's nice. And you're booking show after show after show after show.
That's really good. And then guess what? At the end of the day, you're right back to where you started.
The hardest part is when, like you mentioned, when you're involved with it, you're the guy. We want you to come in so you can sit back and watch the actors come in, and we'll match you up.
Oh,
yeah, that's a killer. Well, that's a killer where you feel so bad for the actors because you know what they're going through, and you're sitting there going, "Oh my God, this is awful."
Yeah, your heart goes out.
Oh, it's awful. Yeah.
There's an old Hollywood adage that you're only as good as your last picture.
It's true.
And no matter all of the successes you had a few years ago, whatever you did last time is what it is. It's really a very small town, and it runs like high school with more money.
Yeah. Oh, and it's not just, it's that for everybody.
Everybody.
Writers,
Right.
I mean, writers get it the worst probably.
Yeah.
Because they're
The lowest on the totem.
Oh, yeah, believe it or not, and when I tell people this that aren't in the business or have never experienced it, I mean, generally, 99.9% of the time, writers aren't even allowed on set. I mean, because they're considered a nuisance. You know, like, oh, we don't want that writer telling us how his story is supposed to be. I mean, the guy who created the universe we're all involved in.
Unless the writer's actually producing, which is a different situation.
Yeah, I got extremely lucky in the Blackwater situation because, you know, the director wanted me there at all times and wanted my opinion, and you know, because he wasn't really a horror guy. And I mean, I got spoiled. I mean, I'm hoping to God my next experience, you know, isn't like the horror stories I hear.
Trust me, your next experience will be better than that experience.
It's because you'll be the
I promise you.
Yes, I wanted to ask, maybe Charles and Dick, who are the veterans, I guess, more a veteran. What you all were saying, hasn't it always been like this, except for now maybe you've got different types of people making choices?
I think it's a pretty good
Yes.
association.
Is that the difference?
Yeah,
Because you've always
it's
had to
always
go
a
through
movable
these
feast, if you
auditions.
will. You know, it's what's in and it's what's going to be in, and you better go with the flow, or you're going to be left outside. It was an adventure going through the '70s, and you know, and so innovative and a lot of fun. Even the '60s.
Well, one thing that's changed for certain, the 60s and 70s in this country, we were enjoying a time when the filmmaker, and that meant most typically the director, had a pretty free rein. As a general rule, was looked upon as the filmmaker. Well, we went along for a while like that, and then along came a movie called Heaven's Gate, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Richard Gere.
And
Cimino.
Michael Cimino, and he indulged himself in every way it's possible for a very pretentious filmmaker to indulge himself, and it was a bomb, and it just nearly sunk the studio and everything, and the bloom was off the rose. The filmmaker was no longer king, and as of that date, everything changed and became a more producer powerful medium, a more committee powerful medium, a lot of movies done by committee.
Clipboards and stopwatches
and people coming down to the set to sort of oversee. Well, to circle this back to Halloween, we were blessed with a gifted filmmaker in John Carpenter, just coming into his own at that point. Tons of talent and total control. The producers knew better than to get in his way.
Right.
The movie was so cheap that part of the deal was, I'll make this movie on the cheap, but you got to stay out of my way because I can't do this with the usual crap. And what a great deal that was, because that meant the decisions are made right now, right here among us. We don't have to wonder. And boy, that's the way to do it if you could ever swing it, because it doesn't matter whether that's a brilliant vision or a mediocre vision. It needs to be somebody's vision, and they need to be the person calling the shots.
I was fortunate enough to spend 10 years after meeting Walt Disney to work there. And I had a whole different experience than these guys do. Being a stunt guy, if you didn't fit the size or the weight or whatever, you didn't get the job, and I never took it personally. See, it hits them in their heart. They're being rejected as a person a lot of times. So my experience was a little bit different. And I thoroughly enjoyed the years that I spent at Disney. It was like being with a family. And they're all right, that the business has changed so drastically. My son is an actor now, and has been since he was 18, and he's 48. So he's gone through all that stuff. He's been a very lucky kid. He really has. But right now, he would like to retire because it's just, he's a piece of meat. He just goes and does what he does and goes home, and it's not at all what it used to be, you know. My deal was mostly connections. I was pushed on Tommy Lee by John or Deborah. I don't know who it was, but He didn't have a choice, I don't think, or did you?
Well, actually, I did, and I like what I saw, dude.
Thank you.